steps.
Okay. Piper, what do you
I
think?
think he lives in an apartment, and I think he wants to play like basketball or baseball or something.
Ooh, that's a good thought.
Well, I think he's in a house and he doesn't have enough money to play like baseball. So like, I think he's gonna save up his money to play a sport.
That's a good thought. What do you think, Sean? You have any other thoughts?
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay, so let's go ahead and turn to the first page. Well, the first page with writing on it's probably page 2. Ooh, there's... Hang on. So wait, we have a table of contents. So look at the table of contents. Look at all of the headings here. What do you think, from reading that, what do you think a different prediction might be? So look at the table of contents. Hunter A, what do you think?
It's about him like going all around the world to play different sports.
Okay.
Now I've looked at it. I think he does lots of poetries and stuff, and he goes to trips to Mexico, and then he goes to Africa, and then in Africa he's a grand prize winner of poetry, and then he's a world famous poet.
Oh, that's a good thought. I like how you used that. What do you think, Kyle?
Well, I think he made like a famous poem, and like a lot of people like it, and I think that's how he got his fame.
Ooh, good thought. Sean, do you have any other thoughts based on the table of contents? No. Nothing? Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. It looks like, now that I actually saw the word famous poet at the end, it looks like he started making poets in his childhood, and then he grew up to be a world famous poet.
That's probably a good thought. One more thing?
This.
All right, so let's go ahead and start reading. Kyle, go ahead and start us off, page 3.
Money, because his mom couldn't get a job and his dad couldn't get a job. Well, actually...
Well, you remember, this is 1902,
Yeah.
so this is before, like,
Yeah.
Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, so this is when it was still very unfair to African Americans. Okay, go ahead. Yep. A trip to Mexico.
A trip to Mexico. When
Langston.
Langston was 5, he went with his mother and grandmother to Mexico City. They were going to live with his father. But just after they got there, there was a big earthquake. Buildings fell down around them. Langston's heart was fluttering as his father carried him to safety. Langston's mother refused to live in a place where there were earthquakes. She took Langston and together again.
Good job.
Why did they live together again?
Because his mom didn't want to live somewhere there was going to be earthquakes, and his dad didn't want to leave because he had a good job there, and he didn't want to have to leave and start over. But she was like, "I'm not living where there's earthquakes."
I would want to live there if I had to live there.
So what does fluttering mean? Who knows what the word fluttering means?
Like I think
Kyle.
Like a floating butterfly where they fly.
That's that. But like, what does it mean when it says like his heart was fluttering? What is that?
Like pumping really fast.
Yeah, so it's like when your heart races, like when you get scared and like your heart starts racing a whole bunch, or you get like really excited and your heart starts racing.
one time I had a heart, my heart
Wait, hang on.
was floating.
So like it's like it's like how as fast as a butterfly wing is going.
So like the butterfly wings, they go like really, really fast. Their wings are fluttering. That's like when your heart goes really, really fast. That's what it means when it's fluttering.
Like one time my heart started fluttering really fast in my bunk bed, and whenever I get one of those, when the heart races, I start to cry all the time because I can't help it.
That's
I
okay.
feel like there's like two stampedes gonna like hurt each other.
Oh, gotcha. All right, Sean, read Living with His Grandmother.
After they returned to the United States, Langston's mother moved away to find work. She left Langston with his grandmother Mary in Lawrence, Kansas. Mary Langston was a woman with African, French, and
Cherokee.
Cherokee
Heritage.
Heritage. When Mary was younger, she helped slaves escape from the South to Virginia. Langston's grandmother loved to read to him books, newspapers, and magazines. But when Langston came home from school, she made him stay inside. He had no one to play with, so books were his only friends.
Good job.
How could books only be your friend?
Well, hang on, wait, 1 second. Stop. So books were his friend because, like, his classmates wouldn't hang out with him. So he didn't feel lonely. He would read books, and then he would, like you read a really good book, and you're like, man, I would love to be friends with that character. So he would read a book, and then
I've watched a show that I've really wanted.
yeah, so it's like sometimes when you watch a show and you're like, oh, I would love to be in that show. I would love to be friends with this character. So,
Like with me with Captain Underpants.
yeah, sure, like you with Captain Underpants. So he would read a book and he would pretend like he was with them in the book and everything. So that's how he was like, books were his
One
friends.
time in the show, I pretended that I was one of my favorite characters.
Are we on a young pet?
Yep, poet, young poets. Okay, go ahead and read a young poet.
When Langston's grandmother died, Langston moved to Cleveland, Ohio to live with his mother again. He felt accepted at his new school. Langston began to write poems for the school magazine. In 8th grade, he was chosen to be class poet. His career as a writer had begun.
In 1919, when he was 17, Langston spent the summer with his father in Mexico. More and more, he wrote poetry to express his feelings. He wrote whenever he could. Back in Cleveland, Langston was an excellent student, an actor, a writer, and he played sports too. His last year at Central High School, he was named class poet again.
All right, Kyle, go ahead and read Back to Mexico.
After Langston graduated from high school in 1920, he wanted to go to college, but college was expensive. He needed his father's help to pay for it. So he went to Mexico again to ask him. On the train ride down, Langston stared out the window at the Mississippi River. He thought about black people in the United States and African and how rivers were important to their lives. Sitting in the train, he wrote his poem called The Negro.
The Negro.
The Negro speaks of rivers.
The Negro speaks of rivers. Good job. All right, Hunter A, go ahead and read the next one.
When he was in Mexico, he sent the poem to a
Magazine.
He sent the poem to a magazine in New York. They wanted to print it. Langston was excited, even though the magazine did not pay for his poem. Langston wanted to go to college to become a writer, but his father said that he would only pay for college if Langston studied something else. Langston wondered what to do. Finally, his father agreed to help.
Good job.
After 1 year, Langston decided to leave and travel around the world. What does jazz mean?
Jazz is a type of music. So that, it's like, it's usually played with a saxophone. You know what a saxophone is?
Yeah.
It's that instrument that it kind of goes like this, and then it comes down, and then there's a bell at the bottom.
I thought it was like
No, it starts here, and it goes down, and then it goes up, and there's like a bell, kind of like a trumpet ending. You know what a trumpet is?
Oh, I know
So
what
it's
you're
like a
talking
trumpet
about.
ending, and you play it like this,
Yeah, I know.
and it's just like this really smooth sound. Yes.
Is the clarinet a jazz instrument?
Some people use that for jazz too. Yeah, there's a lot of different instruments that can be used for jazz.
Guitar.
You could, depending on the thing, but typically it's a saxophone people use
My
for jazz.
sister plays jazz on the clarinet.
Oh, she does? That's awesome. Okay, so now go on to the next page. And Sean, you're going to read A Trip to Africa.
Langston found a job on
a boat going to Africa. The boat visited 15 countries in West Africa. And Langston talked with many Africans. Most people in West Africa had dark brown skin. Langston had whiter skin than they did. Many African people thought he was a white man, but Langston did not pretend to be white. He was proud to be a black man.
So yeah, look at the map here. So here's New York way up here in the top corner. Everyone point to New York. So that's where he was from, and then he was coming all the way over here to Africa. So he was somewhere here on this big continent of Africa. So that was a really far trip for him.
And probably, like, if there was airplanes, they would have gave him food because that probably would have taken days.
Yep.
Because like when it's like over 3 or 4 hours, they give you actual food.
Mm-hmm. It's very
what
true.
my Nana said.
All right, Kat, you want to read the next page? If you don't want to read the whole page, you can stop halfway down, or you can read the whole page. Your choice. Go ahead.
While he traveled, Langston wrote poems and articles. He sent them to magazines, and in the United States, some magazines
So your predictions, were they right, or what happened in the book actually?
In the book, he went around the world. Wherever he went, he brought lots of paper and pencils or pencil sharpeners or something, if they even have them back then. And on the train, he wrote lots of poems. And then he went around the world, and wherever he went, he would stop in one place and write beginnings of poems, and then stop somewhere else and finish the poems.
Ooh,
And he would like to do that because he wanted to
pencil
be.
sharpeners. They had those wall ones.
What else do you have to add?
But they didn't have
Half of my prediction was right because I said he was gonna travel around the world writing poems
Oh,
as
yeah.
a little kid and then grow up to be. Was that prediction right, or it was half right?
That was pretty spot on, because that's what he did. He traveled around the world and he was writing poems
Mine was
and everything.
right.
All right, so let's go
Did
ahead.
he start as a kid writing poems?
He
There's a lot of it.
Because that's what I said. in
yeah
my
he's
thing.
yeah he started as a kid when he was kind of starting writing poems, but then he didn't really start though until he was older. So you remember on Monday how we filled out a story map for Gabriella? My name is Gabriella. We did it as a whole group over here.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
detail.
So this is going to be a little bit of a different story map here. So go ahead and write your name on the top.
Do you keep the book or not?
You're going to keep the book because you're going to need it. You need to help spelling with something.
Should I write the title?
Well, first write your name. Okay, so then you're going to write the title right here in this first box. So what's the title of this book?
The Life of Langston Hughes.
Yep, The Life of Langston Hughes. So go ahead and write that. Make sure you're paying attention to the capitals. Every word that they have capital in here, you need to. You don't have to write his name in all caps. You just need to make sure you capitalize the L and the H. But make sure you have the T in the L in life. Okay, so now, after you've written that down, we need to follow the map down to author. So who's the author of this book? Yeah, Elizabeth Jaffe. Perfect. Elizabeth Jaffe. So write author right there next to the author line. Make sure you're paying attention to your capitals.
I need to finish writing the top part.
Is there a Z? Yeah. Oh.
Do we write Milton? My sister's last name is Elizabeth.
How is it? That's awesome. So hang on, is there an illustrator for this book?
Yes, I
is
think
it?
it's Houghton Mifflin.
So that's actually a trickiness. That's actually the person who published the book. And so publish the book means they just put the book together and they're the ones who are selling the book. So there actually isn't an illustrator for this book because it's all real pictures.
Can I write none?
If you want to write none, you can write none, or you can just leave it blank. But make sure you write the first and last name of our author, though. So go ahead and write her last name right here underneath. Okay, so then after that, we're going to follow the map over to characters. So who are the characters in this book? Kyle.
Langston Hughes.
Langston Hughes. So write his name first. Who else are some characters in the book?
His dad.
His dad. And you can just write his dad. You don't have to find his name.
Can I do Langston because we already know who it is?
If you can just write his first name if you'd like, that'd be fine.
His mom.
His mom. You can write his mom.
Right, Mr. Hughes. Mr. and Mrs. Hughes.
That's fine. You can write that too.
His
Yeah.
great grandmother.
His. I think it's just his grandmother. Or was it his great grandmother? I think it was just his grandmother.
His grandmother.
Yep. So his grandmother. Anyone else?
English.
There might not be. Oh. How about his grand prize winner section? Who else was in there? There was someone else.
I don't know. Let me see.
Mr. Lindsay.
Mr. Lindsay. So write Mr. Lindsay. Remember, he was the guy who was in. Just write it right here underneath. He's the guy who worked for. Let's see, who did he work for? He was a what?
How do you spell Lindsay?
It's on page 13.
L-E-N.
So he was a poet in Washington D.C. and so Langston gave him some of his poetry and asked him to read it because he met him in a restaurant or a hotel. Excuse me.
Where's Lindsay?
Lindsay's going to be under grand prize winner. Yep.
L-I-N-D.
Yep. Perfect. Okay. So then after that,
I need.
Lindsay's on page 13.
What about Rachel Lindsay? That's his real name.
That's the same person. That's his first name.
Oh, okay.
Lindsay's his last name. So, but that was his first name.
How do you spell?
Page 13.
Lindsay.
You don't need to go up. I'm just looking.
Okay. So then we're going to go down to settings. So where is this book mostly taking place? Piper.
Around the world.
Around the world, but what are some of the specific places they go, Hunter A?
Mostly Mexico.
So some of it takes place in Mexico, where
Missouri, Mexico, Africa, and Washington, D.C.
yeah, so they were in Joplin, Missouri, they were in Africa, they were in New York, they were in Mexico, they were in Washington D.C. So you
In
know,
the United States.
well, yeah, the United States where some of those places were done. So you can just write down at least 3 of those. You don't have to write down all of them because it's a lot.
Was one of them Joppa?
Joplin.
And New York. How do you spell that?
Look on page. What page was that on? That was on
It's
page.
Joplin. I'm pretty sure.
That was on
New York.
page 4. First sentence. Joplin, Missouri.
Oh, Mexico and what else? W.D. Joplin. New York. What were they?
Yeah, so there was
Anyways.
Harlem, New York.
Can I just put it in Y?
Joplin. And did they go to Hawaii?
Nope, then go to Hawaii.
Um,
You can write Harlem.
they went to Canada. How do you spell Harlem? Canada.
That's on page 11.
Problem.
So what was the problem of this story? So what was something that happened? Lily, what was the problem?
The problem was they treated Langston badly.
Why did they treat him badly? What do you think? Why do you think they treated him badly?
Because his skin color was different.
Because his skin color was different. What color was his skin?
Black.
Black. Yeah, he was an African American. So did that make it easier or more difficult for him
Difficult.
That made it more difficult for him to get into poetry. So you could write, because of his skin color, it was hard for him to find work or to get a job.
Do you have to write that whole thing? Or?
Well, that was the problem. So because of his skin color, or because he was black or African American, whatever you want to write, it was hard for him to find work.
Isn't there like something else?
What else do you think?
His dad couldn't find a job in that place, so he had to move to Mexico and
Where they were allowed
work there.
earthquakes.
And then what happened to his family after
got
this?
separated.
They got
They got separated. So
And
he
divorced.
they didn't get divorced.
Okay.
They just
They just separated.
because his mom didn't want to live there. So they separated.
Because they were a bunch of earthquakes.
So you could say he didn't get to live with his whole family because
Do you have to write that, or
you don't have to just write just a couple little things like that.
I only have like that.
So then what was a solution to the problem? What happened to him later in life as he became an adult?
He started writing poetries.
Uh-huh.
And put them into stories. Put them into the newspaper, I think. Can I go get the drink of water? Can you sharpen the water? Can you sharpen my pencil? Solution.
So solution, like what happened? So if we look on page 9, it says after he graduated from high school, he wanted to go to college, but college was too expensive.
Is that another problem?
Well, no, well that could be a problem. So he had to go back to Mexico. And then what? So when he was there, as he was going to Mexico to ask his dad to help him pay for college, what happened there?
His dad said, no, you can't. You have to.
Well, hang on, no,
Well,
but
if you research all that stuff, you'll be able to. I might let you go to Mexico.
but how about on the
go to
train
college.
ride over? What did he look at on the train ride over that inspired him to start writing poetry? The Mississippi River. And
How did it inspire him?
well, he was just thinking. Remember, read over here. It just he thought it was so cool how the water flowed and how dependent people are on water. So he inspired him to write a poem. So then you could say he became a poet and he traveled the world, and he won a grand prize. So he didn't let the fact that he couldn't afford to go to college.
so he became a poet?
He became a poet and traveled the world.
So what are
He became a poet and traveled the world.
That's a terrible. I wish I had a pencil with an eraser.
Is this how you spell traveled?
I do here.
Or
Yes.
the other way?
You can use my. I already gave my dad.
I don't.